Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Chris, and here to talk more flag players. The show is a continuation of our last video, which I'm gonna guess you can find on our channel, where I counted down my flag players 10 through 6, and today I'm gonna count them down 5 through 1. A quick overview of what flag players are. They're players I'm planting a flag on. It's a good thing. I'm basically saying because they're really good, because they come at a good draft value, some combination thereof, I recommend them as draft picks. We're trying to get some of them. It's probably unrealistic to say you can get all of them on any given team, but they're basically names to have in mind when you get to certain rounds. As will become clear as we get going, let's keep the countdown going. Here comes number 5. When we say my number 5 flag player, Brandon Aiyuk, has a little running back in him, well, this is the kind of thing we mean. At a compact 6'1" and very strong 206, it's kind of like having flag player Tony Pollard running at you with the ball in the open field, which isn't to say he doesn't play receiver and go down the field a little bit, over-the-shoulder catches, ho-hum, he's a gifted all-around player, and he can run the post like he will do here. You wouldn't call this tight man coverage, but Aiyuk gets up on the defender fast, sort of turns him around. He's not an insane burner, but definitely not slow, and rocked up, I think, a really good player. And as all 49ers appear to be required to be, he's just a menace athletically. This throwback winds up actually counting as a run, and it's setting up to be a really good play, and then Aiyuk just decides, I will hurdle this last dude on the dead run and score a touchdown. I don't want to paint him as some perfect finished product. He's also he's not a perfect prospect. He's not a burner. He's not some giant. He's not 6'4". He's not, even over the middle of the field, he's not like the size of A.J. Brown or Julio Jones. Chris Godwin? Yeah. Chris Godwin is actually maybe my comp, now that I think about it. Aiyuk runs good, not perfect routes. He's just really coordinated. I thought he played smart as a rookie. And in fantasy drafts, the soft spot after the decent RB2s are gone, I will probably be looking for a receiver like Aiyuk, who I think sits just above the wide receiver 3 and the infinite sadness. Really good at everything. I think shapes up into a low level but good wide receiver 2 for fantasy, but above the wide receiver 3. So, if you're talking round 6, definitely I would get him. Round 5, I still like it. In round 5, I'm comparing him to James Robinson, Javonte Williams, Chase Edmonds. I think it's a lot better value to see if you can get Aiyuk instead. Yeah, and I think DJ Moore might be even a better value. I think Moore is actually close to a wide receiver 1 for fantasy. I have him as the 14th receiver. He's my number 4 flag player. In this list, I've talked up Tyler Lockett and Brandon Aiyuk. Moore is the one I like the most. I think there's a decent chance he actually goes last in your draft. Not always, but sometimes it happens. All 3 of those receivers are in a pretty similar range. It is that 5-6. It's, again, a soft spot is what I just said. I think that's kind of how I think of it. Like the last of the trustable wide receiver 2s for fantasy. I think I want those guys. Maybe I can get a couple of those guys and let my league mates bite down hard and take the running backs that even they know don't have a great chance to be great. DJ Moore is just the little ball of hate part 2. He even looks like Steve Smith running around out there. Sam Darnold's not optimal, but Teddy Bridgewater was not optimal either. Dude plays on the outside a lot. He's smaller than a lot of DBs, and what can you say? He just wins. He wins an awful lot. He's just meaner and scrappier getting to balls, finds a way to throw his body into the right spot. He'll take a hit if he can and keep going. He's not the most physically gifted guy, the way Steve Smith wasn't the most physically gifted guy, but they're just made different. I think the cost on Lockett, Aiyuk, and Moore will be pretty close. Moore is my top choice among them, though Lockett's just a couple of spots back from him. If you can wind up, like I said, with 2 of those guys, maybe as your wide receiver 2 and your wide receiver 3 for fantasy in rounds 5 and 6, boy, that would be nice. I think you got a shot at decent value and a lot of production. At number 3, I do not usually put rookies on the flag player list. Last time I did, I think it was Corey Davis's rookie year. That went badly, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going with Trey Sermon coming out of Ohio State, going to the 49ers to be Brandon Aiyuk's new teammate. And here's what I think. Honestly, I am not a college scout, But we have one on this channel, Patrick Murray, and he convinced me, and Matt Waldman of the Rookie Scouting Portfolio convinced me that Trey Sermon could actually turn into a special running back kind of right away and make this platoon that we all presume is coming, that'll be very frustrating in San Francisco, maybe it winds up being moot by October. Those guys, Patrick and Matt, see a Le'Veon Bell-style runner who isn't going to blow you away with long speed, but has a particular kind of lateral genius to him. Now, we're not talking Jamal Charles, LaShawn McCoy. He's not breaking ankles, but more like Le'Veon Bell, the way Bell would see it and translate what he saw into action with a lateral move before it even seemed possible that he could have seen it. I guess I'm fumbling around for the term like feel. It's just feeling. He just had a feel. That sense of when a zone play is about to break and where, and the lateral explosion to get to the hole just as it's developing. Being a truly great zone runner is rare. I can't promise Trey Sermon definitely is one, but if he is, the 49ers are a good team for him. They love to run those strung out run plays where the offensive linemen basically run toward the sideline blocking, allowing the running back to pick and choose and react to where the defense goes. Yes, Raheem Mostert is there. I'm not positive I think Raheem Mostert is great, and I know he hasn't been able to stay healthy in his career. I prefer Sermon only by a little bit, but the market definitely isn't valuing them similarly. As of our making this video, Mostert goes between 1 and 2 rounds earlier. Sermon is usually there in the 7th or the 8th, and that is really good enough for me. I'm taking it on faith from the smart people who I know. I'm choosing to believe that something special is coming with Trey Sermon. We've got a new sponsor for the channel. It's Vuori. They make incredibly comfortable shorts and shirts and other great stuff. I have a pair of their board shorts, unbelievably soft and comfortable, really just beautiful clothing, and it's clothing you can feel good about. Vuori's mission is to be carbon neutral as a company, and they are, and to also use as much recycled material as they possibly can. By 2020, Vuori's clothing will be made from 80% recycled material, which is incredible. A pair of shorts is in large part made from 4 or 5 recycled bottles. They use nylon from recycled fishing nets. Vuori's goal is to make great stuff, but also not to hurt the world while doing it. I think you'll love the clothing. I know I do. I think you'll really like the company too. You can check their story out at vuoriclothing.com/Harris, and if you use that URL, you'll get 20% off your first purchase. vuoriclothing.com/Harris. Okay, we're down to my final 2 flag players on this list. One of them, you're not going to be surprised. I think he's a good player. It's just that I think he might be about to turn into an undeniably extraordinary player. And the other one is finding himself in a really good situation. And I think he's a good player. And maybe whether we're going to value him spectacularly in our drafts comes down to where he winds up going. His ADP has fluctuated all over the place. Anyway, let's talk about both of them, shall we? Okay, number 2, DK Metcalf. He's so much bigger and faster than everyone else. It's basically unfair. Stephon Gilmore followed Metcalf all over the field in this game. Didn't matter. Just run away from man coverage with no help. Too big to tackle by the end of the play. Try to bump him on the outside. No way. Too strong. Utter joke. Metcalf isn't yet the best receiver in the league because he's still mostly winning with the insane physical gifts, the speed and the 6'4" and the 230. But he could easily blow up and do the 2,000-yard season if he's ready to be a tactician as well as a super freak. But even the super freak stuff, like this is Randy Moss material if Randy Moss had been a bodybuilder. DK Metcalf, he's a big bag of what the hell, man. Are there a few fantasy receivers I'm taking ahead of Metcalf? Actually 4. Adams, Hill, Diggs, Hopkins. But if you told me you had Metcalf at number 1, I would not argue with you. Considering I have Tyler Lockett on my flag list this year too, I obviously think Russell Wilson's pretty good. And no, I probably don't want Metcalf and Lockett on the same fantasy team, but they're both really great in their own ways. Because fantasy drafters are really desperate to get those early running backs, Metcalf is going 4th or 5th among wideouts in the average draft, but he's going later overall than I would take him. He's almost always lasting until late in the 2nd round. And I think if you're ready to take a wideout in the 2nd round, you can honestly take him anywhere in that round and feel terrific about it. This does very much depend on your positional strategy as you continue your draft. If you're picking mid-round 1 and you want to go Nick Chubb and then back him up with Joe Mixon because running backs get gross so early, I'm okay. I'm okay bypassing Metcalf. But in a vacuum, especially the later you go in round 2 and the more trustable running backs that are disappearing, I'm really tempted by Metcalf. Like, for me, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Antonio Gibson, I'm usually taking Metcalf over those guys. As much ceiling as a wide receiver has in the league on a weekly basis, just these kinds of plays rather, that we're showing you, just it happens every single week. Plus, there's that X% chance that only in his 3rd year in the NFL, Metcalf just does come out with an entirely new bag of route running technical tricks to help him ascend to the ranks of like the greats in the history of the position. It's not exactly a bold call. Hey, guess what? I really like DK Metcalf. But if you can bend your draft in his direction, I love getting him in that 2nd round. Okay, and then at number 1, I didn't go with a no-brainer transcendent talent. I went for the running back who in some drafts gets ignored for too long. Daryl Henderson, who with the Cam Akers Achilles injury has the inside track on starting for the Rams and getting most of the work on what we believe is a talented offense for sure. Now, this one probably isn't a case of saying, like, pay what you gotta pay. You must have Daryl Henderson. He's a superstar waiting to happen. That's really not what I'm saying. It's more that I think he's good. Actually, I think he could be really good. I think he probably, though, is going to wind up in some kind of timeshare. And given his size, and especially given his injury history and some lack of success in short yardage, I'm fine with him in a timeshare. I'm fine. There are drafts where he lasts into the 6th round, and that is really, really too late. Henderson is quick. He's sturdy for his size. We've done an entire breakdown video on him for the channel, which, again, I'm sure the producers will link to right now, so you can hear our full thoughts about Daryl Henderson at length. When he is at his best, he's very direct. He's north-south. He gets defenders to take bad angles, and he just goes. Not a sprinter. He will get run down from behind, and he's not a total bull on the goal line. We showed you he can get himself stopped when a touchdown would make our fantasy week from the 1. My comparison for Henderson, it's a hopeful comparison, but I hope it's Devontae Freeman. And if we get the Devontae Freeman from 2015 or 2016, you're grabbing a potential fantasy MVP in the early mid-rounds, and it would be well worth it even taking a chance on his injury history. Now, he hasn't been all that durable. And it makes me think we will get someone, whether it's Xavier Jones as an in-house tandem to go with Henderson. Xavier Jones wouldn't be a great compliment because he's on the smaller side too, and he doesn't have Henderson's acceleration or change of direction. Or maybe after we all do our fantasy drafts, the Rams go out and get one of the big names like Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore, or make a trade for someone like Sony Michel. In all cases, it's going to result in something that I expect. I'm not making Daryl Henderson my number 1 flag player because I think he's about to handle 300 touches. I think he's got a really good O-line and a lot of talent around him, and he'll be the better player in the Rams' backfield, whoever he winds up being paired with. I view him as a round 4 fantasy draft pick. So far, you really haven't had to take him there. It really does depend on your league. If he gets back around to you in round 5, I admit it feels like you're playing chicken sometimes, but I would really consider it. And ADP on some platforms tells us he could even come back around to you in round 6, in which case you should sprint to the podium and announce his name. Now, if you've watched this video, but not the first flag player video, go back and watch, take a look at the film, see if you agree with our assessments. These are very good players in all cases, and in a couple of cases, extraordinary players, and mostly coming at really good draft day values. We hope you have fun picking a few of them, and mostly we just hope you have fun picking your teams in general. Get out there and draft and have some fun. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.